What happened? Okay, I see Ethan running through the camera. So, anyways, if you're new here, we are answering all your questions live. Hopefully the microphone sounds now. And we will be talking, I'm sure, about the New Jersey drone, the bane of our existence at the moment. So many questions about this, but we'll get there. And then, yeah, we're on a new set. Well, we're on a new set. We're on the old set. We call it set 9 in the office. And set 9 is the only set that we have left because we are preparing to move out of here. So we have 2 sets, our green screen, and then this set that's left. The other sets have disappeared into oblivion until we move to the new place. And then I'm hoping that we will have more updates on that by the end of the year. Obviously, we're getting close to the end of the year now, and which means that the government, the local government, the city here is going to be a bit more delayed, I think, to give us the final permit. But I hope not. I'm still hoping that we can get through and move to the new place by the end of the year. But I think we're stretching it now. Ethan is showing you the current set. So what we're going to do this week is actually we're going to be moving everybody from our office back into the studio and consolidate into one place for the next couple of weeks until we move, and then return the other place to the current owner. So it's exciting. We're downsizing so that we can upsize quite a bit moving to the new location. So new location is looking amazing, making more and more progress. So really exciting. But for those of you that missed because you couldn't hear me when we started, this is Monday night. We do live Q&A. So any drone questions that you have, leave them in the comments and then we will get to them. All right. Without any further ado, let's say hi to everyone. I see a lot of questions already. Thorough Inspired, as always, #1 in the comments. Hike and Fly, Texas RC Noob, Thumb Drone, Jake Kiesel. We have Dallas, Richard Hooker, Curtis Warren, Ambush, Travis Cheney is here. Jim is here. Jillian, our Jillian from the community is here. Jillian is going to be with us. Today's Monday. She's going to be with us on Thursday night and then on Friday as well. So we have our little Christmas party that we do every year. And Jillian is coming to visit for that. So we'll be doing some content, I think, with Jillian on Friday. We have DSPA, our good friend Vic is here. We have James Andrews, Ray of Sunshine is here, Old Deadeye, Eric. We have Jeff, Jerry, None Your Business is here, Dustin, Rick Hone, Cover and Tack, awesome. Sparky is here. What's up, Sparky? Sparky says, I see our FA consultant is in the house. Not yet. Not that I want to either. Old Man Droning, formerly film photography. All right. I see a lot of you out here. Thank you for being here. I see the first question already on the list is about the New Jersey drone. So I'll get to those. I'll talk a little bit more about my thoughts on the New Jersey drones. We talked about this morning in post-flight. Ben, is post-flight posted yet? I don't know. I think he might still be editing it.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay. So if you're in the premium community, post-flight is posted. We talked a little bit more about the New Jersey drones over there. And yeah, I'll give you a little bit of it in a second. Okay. Well, let's go with it. Texas RC Noob says, with all the development in the news for the drones in New Jersey, do you think this is going to be used to take away our liberties? I hope not. I know there's been a lot of, I'm not going to say conspiracy because I think it's becoming a derogatory word, but there's been a lot of chit-chat about whether or not these things were done on purpose. I think it's always hard to tell if something was done on purpose. I'll give you my take. And my take is pretty boring, but I believe some folks went outside and noticed that there were lights, and then they talked about it, and the media started talking about it. And then more and more people decided to go outside when they typically don't go outside at night to look at the sky. And then realized that there are indeed a lot of aircraft flying out there in the airspace at night, especially in the city like in the state like New Jersey. And as a result, it just became a frenzy. And I think that's where we are now. It's a total frenzy where now you have people that want to get views. So they create their own videos, maybe using artificial intelligence, or maybe not. and maybe pulling footage from somewhere else. But I will tell you that most of the footage that I have seen, 99.9% of the footage that I have seen that is not AI generated is a manned aircraft. And I know people don't want to hear that. They want to hear what they've believed this whole time, confirmation bias, right? And it's not an insult on anyone. I think it's just that at this stage, people are seeing what they want to see in the sky, regardless of what data might be available to disprove that it is a drone or disprove that it is from something else. Are there drones flying out there? Absolutely. I think there are people that are searching for drones that are flying their own drone. Drones are allowed to fly at night. They've been for a long time. They've been ever since Part 107 came out. How many? 7 years ago now. And so I think there are absolutely drones that are flying out there. Are they the size of an SUV? I don't believe that. I think when people talk about the drone the size of an SUV, they're talking about a helicopter that's a few thousand feet up in the air. They're talking about an airliner or a small private jet that is flying up in the air. I've seen people reporting eVTOL aircraft that are flying that are actual manned aircraft that are flying. One of them being manufactured in New Jersey. And so that's my boring take on this. Quite frankly, I think it's gotten out of control. We've had so many media requests. I've said no to them because I don't want to be in the news talking about this and people saying that that my very down-to-earth approach is wrong because I do believe that's exactly what it is. So, yeah. Now, to get back to Texas RC Noob question, is it going to take away our liberties? I certainly hope not. I really hope not. I hope that this is not something that anti-drone folks are going to be using against us. Time will tell. Time will tell. Yeah, why would they be using navigation lights? That's a great question, Jake. I've asked that question as well. And, you know, if you're going to be doing something nefarious, you don't turn your lights on. People that want to go inside of a house to rob or steal something from somebody's porch at night, they don't turn their lights on to be more visible. A lot of what you see and a lot of what I see people saying is like, well, there's a green light and a red light and a white light. Yeah, that's the typical lights on a manned aircraft. There's a red light on the left wing, there's a green light on the right wing, and there's typically a white light on the tail that flashes. And depending on how you look at the object, it is very difficult to see which direction the object is going. One of them was 100% a helicopter that was flying around, and people were just freaking out about it. So, yep, that's where we're at. I'm trying to read the questions at the same time because I know it's going to be a while before I get to those comments. I have not seen one compelling video of drones. I agree. I agree. I have seen a couple videos that were AI made, and it was pretty obvious that they were AI made. It really had nothing to do with, I think, what people are reporting at the moment. I think the biggest thing is that people are reporting very large drones, and those very large drones typically are helicopters or aircraft. Okay. So that's it. Yep. I don't think there is any ET getting to visit anytime soon. And if they are, please come quick because I really don't want to hear about the New Jersey drones anymore. Okay. Jake says, what should we get a Part 107 and follow the rules when there are drones flying in New Jersey and nobody enforces the rules? We don't know that. First off, we don't know that there are drones. And second, we don't know that they're not following the rules. It is legal to fly a drone at night with a light on top of it, as long as you maintain visual line of sight and as long as you get airspace authorization, you fly at the right altitude, blah, blah, blah. If these drones are reported to be the size of an SUV, it's no longer Part 107. Over 55 pounds, it's not Part 107. It would fall under Part 103 or something, something, something. So, yep. I just bought a Mini 4 Pro and I'm studying to get my Part 107 certification. Can I now register the drone for Part 107 use without having a certification? Many thanks in advance. Yes, you can register the drone under Part 107 on the Part 107 side of your FAA drone zone. Absolutely, without having the Part 107. The key is the FAA has made this, well, the original registration regulation is more complicated than it needs to be. And I wish there was just a registration required regardless of the size and regardless of operation, except the FAA carved out this little exemption where if the drone is sub 250 grams, then it doesn't need to be registered. But what's happened is that when the FAA made the website for the drone zone, they had to make it overly complicated, I believe, because of this exemption. So not necessarily the FAA's fault as far as the IT side of the house. For the website, I think they just had to deal with it. Travis says, related to the story that has everybody talking, did you watch Tom Costello's report on the Today Show showing a hexacopter? Any thoughts on his explanation of drones? I have not. I'm not going to lie, I don't watch the news. I just usually don't have time, don't have the interest to watch any sort of news report. But I do see them pop on social media when I go. So I see the reports that people have made on these drones. But no, I have not seen this. I saw a so-called expert from a school somewhere in New Jersey that went on and couldn't even say Mavic correctly. He said Mavic. When you say Mavic, a Mavic 3, you lose your expert card. What type of client needs drone mapping? A lot of people need drone mapping, whether it's a mine, for example. If you're going to work with a company that does surveying, then you can provide that service for them to do survey maps for construction. Any kind of construction anywhere that would need to have mapping done. Even some individual people might want a map of their property just for fun. Now, keep in mind, be careful with the survey thing. I mentioned if you're working with a surveying company, unless you're a surveyor, you can't really call anything that you do survey grade level. But you may be able to do survey grade level and then have it stamped, rubber stamped by a surveying company. So just be careful what you provide. Yeah, Vic says Mavic. I wish I was kidding. The guy said Mavic with a straight face. I need help finding and downloading the flight data from the Mavic 3 Pro. Since the recent update and DJI stopped syncing the data, I cannot find them. So KHP, if you download the DJI Assistant software from the website, you should be able to see the flight data in there. You can also use Aloft Air Control or use Air Data. Those two software have the ability to download the DJI data. Grumpy Cat says, is the Part 107 course material kept up to date with latest changes? Yep, absolutely. I heard there are questions regarding remote ID. Yes, there's been questions about remote ID for a while. We were the first ones to update our course to the new Part 107 rules several years ago. So yeah, the course is absolutely up to date. Wait, Sparky said something funny. Everybody knows the protocol, the Magic and Maverick. That's right, Maverick and Magix. Mavic was the first. I had never heard that, especially from an expert. With fog on the ground but clear above, am I still restricted from flying through the fog to clear sky? I'm talking about the case where I can keep visual contact with the drone despite the fog. Good question. So the FAA says that, well, let me go through the regulation. Part 107 says you cannot fly if the visibility, the forward visibility is less than 3 statute miles reported. So if it's less than 3 statute miles visibility, you technically cannot fly. Now, if there's a hole in the sky where you can fly on top of the cloud, maintain visual line of sight. The FAA has a problem with the fact that if you don't have full control of the airspace nearby, then you technically don't have visual line of sight. So visual line of sight is more than seeing the drone. Visual line of sight also include in 107.31, one of them, B, A or B, it talks about having to not only see the drone, but also be able to maintain keep track of what's going on in the airspace. I'm paraphrasing. So if you were to fly your drone above the fog, technically you wouldn't be able to see if another helicopter, for example, was coming from the distance, because around you there would still be fog. So I hope that makes sense. That's the official explanation. So technically, no, you would not be able to fly in that condition that you described. No, Eric says, I saw the same guy that pronounced the Mavic wrong. Yeah. He also claimed DJI could shut down the motors off remotely if they wanted to. Sure. Yep. Must be working for a UVSI. I want to fly inside of a rail tunnel. Can I fly in it, assuming that I maintain VLOS? So, yeah, you can. Just be careful, because just... Okay, so let me go back. Yes, it is technically possible. So once you're underground, I guess you can call it, the FAA doesn't really apply anymore. So in this case, you want to make sure that you would have enough light inside of the tunnel for your obstacle avoidance sensors to work if you wanted to use those. And make sure that you maintain visual line of sight, not because of the regulation, but because you want to make sure that you're not hitting anything else around. And then make sure that your drone has the ability to operate in a GPS-denied environment. Most DJI drones have the ability to maintain position inside of an area without GPS, as long as you're not too far off the ground, and that it can still use the bottom sensors to maintain the contact with the ground, if you want, if that makes sense. Bruce says, here in West North Carolina, fog is my worst enemy. Yeah, I can imagine. That's the one thing. I used to live in Florida, as you guys know, and the fog was pretty common. Moving to Arizona, I haven't seen fog. I think I've been here for 10 years. I've seen fog like 3 times in the area. So, and most of the time it's more low-level clouds rather than pure fog. It's more like clouds, because we're at high elevation, clouds that are just moving in, rather than fogs developing from the ground in itself. So it's just really interesting. All right, next. I want to, okay, I just did that one. Next. But I'm curious if there is an invasion of privacy law about drones photography when people are inside buildings are visible. Yes. So there is expectation of privacy inside of somebody's home. So a drone should not be taking pictures inside without breaking that. That's the peeping Tom laws that are, quite frankly, in place for not just drones. Drones is just a flying camera. So it affects any cameras, including drone cameras. So it's not a drone-specific regulation. I wanted to take video of a street sign next to a street where cars are going by. Could that be a problem? Not as long as you don't fly over moving vehicles. So that's really the only thing. When applying for an authorization through the drone zone for zero grid, what mitigations are they looking for? Will they tell you that? Will they tell you what you need to? Or will you need to know this in advance during applying? So for each waiver that you apply, there's a document called WSEG, W-S-E-G. It's waiver. I'm trying to remember what the initials stand for, but it's a WSEG. And the WSEG is a PDF that you download when you apply for the waiver. And in there, there's a list of questions that you have to answer in your application. So it's kind of like a guide, if you want, that helps you apply for these waivers. So download that WSEG and then answer the questions in your application. So in this case, what are they looking for? It really depends on the operation. But think about, why is there a zero grid zone right there? It's more than likely because there is a restriction because of an airport. There's either a heliport or an airport nearby. So they want to make sure that you're going to be aware of the other traffic, that you're going to be able to listen on the radio to pay attention to what is going on, and that you're going to be able to have command of the airspace so you can get out of the way in case an aircraft gets there. So, yep. I was hoping somebody would tell me what WESEG stands for. I know Jason remembers, but I don't. The waiver no, anyways, we'll find out. Yeah, I'll make up one. I'm not good at making up acronyms. James Andrews says, I have a DJI Mini 4 Pro combo, which I registered. After a couple of months, I purchased one larger battery. Do I need to add that battery to the registration? No, not really. So if the drone is registered, okay, so I'm assuming you're flying under Part 107? What's up?
No WESEGs for zero grid authorization.
No WESEG. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's not a waiver.
Not a waiver. WESEG is
Yes. No. I know. Yeah. Wherever specific. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack and then I'll answer your question, James. Yeah, there's no WESEG for zero grid because it's not a waiver. I don't know why I thought waiver. An airspace authorization is just an airspace authorization. So what they're looking for is the things that I just told you, but it's not, there won't be a WESEG. I apologize. Waiver specific expectation guidelines, but that's only for waivers. Airspace, while there is an airspace waiver available, you don't submit that. You submit an airspace authorization. Brain fart. Okay, pew, back. So Mini 4 Pro combo, and then you add a new battery. So if it's registered, it's registered. I'm assuming you're flying under Part 107 probably. So in this case, you'd be fine. Is the Pilot Institute 107 course updated for 2024? Yep. The course is always kept up to date with whatever regulation. There hasn't been a change in regulation in a while. But we are in the middle of re-recording the course, so it looks better. But the content is just fine. We still have almost a nearly perfect pass rate. So if I'm flying recreationally in Class B airspace with a 7-pound drone, can you text me some pictures of the new building? Sparky. I should have read that it was Sparky first. I don't remember if Sparky saw the new building. I think we got the new building after Sparky came to visit. Yeah, we did. So Sparky hasn't seen the new building yet. Some of you have seen the new building last 2 weeks in the Friday update that we do in the community, the happy hour, because I've been in the building every Friday to work in there. But we won't have one this week, but yeah. Should I register my DJI Neo in the FA Drone Zone Part 107 or just the remote ID module that I'll be using? Both of them. Any drone flown under Part 107 needs to be registered. So when you do that registration, you will add, to comply with remote ID, you need to have either a module or it needs to be into the drone. The Neo doesn't have it as standard remote ID, so you need to add the module information to the registration for that drone. It goes together. Sparky flies in Class B all the time. I think Sparky flies only in Class B. Class C is just not cool enough for him. It's just Class B all the time. Oh, no, Sparky was there. He said, yeah, he was the first one that went in there. He saw the coffin. Well, the coffin is no more, Sparky. We had to get rid of it. Well, I wanted to get rid of it. I didn't want the bad juju associated with it. Next up, Los Gatos team says, should I register my DJI Neo? Oh, I just said that. I'm sorry. All right. Do you have an inside information on Mavic 4 Pro? Nope. There's no... I don't think we're far enough into the leaks at the moment for the Mini 4 Pro, so I would say no. Which FAA document should I study in order to pass the 107 test? There's a lot of them. The FAR, Federal Aviation Regulation, is one of them. And then you need to look at the Airman Certification Standard to make sure you cover all the topics that are required. And then you need to read documentation. One of the FAA document is the PHAC, the Pilot Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. You have the Aviation Weather Handbook. You have probably a good start right there. There's a study guide also that the FAA has. If you need help, obviously, this is what we do for a living. We have the #1 course. That's the most recommended course online. Not only that, the course that has trained the most number of people in the industry. And Over 110,000 people now have been trained with our course. So it's almost double our next competitor. So Dustin says, is it hard to obtain a COA, Certificate of Authorization, to operate as a public aircraft? Pilot self-certification feels odd, but I guess is allowed with COA. It's a government environmental assessment program. It's not that difficult as long as you qualify for it. Self-certification is not required. The FAA actually, this is not me, the FAA actually recommends that you still use Part 107 as your method of certification. Here's why. Let's say that you decide to create your own program. It has to be as good as Part 107. It has to be as thorough and cover as many topics as at least Part 107. So why not go with Part 107 in the first place? Because if something happens, the FAA is going to go back and look at your training and look in detail to make sure that you've covered everything that's at least in Part 107. So why not just use that in the first place? So a lot of folks at the agency will tell you that, they'll want to do that. Reading the comments in the chat that are funny. Scott has some good comments in there. Is it hard to obtain a I'm sorry, I just read that. So yeah, Dustin, go for it. We have a free course, by the way. I don't know if Jason, I see Jason just put it in there. We have a free COA course that's going to help you with getting your COA. Sorry for a possibly dumb question. No such a thing. Just wondering if you're flying with intent to improve your skills at flying and filming with your Mini 3 Pro. Does this fall under Part 107? I think that's kind of one of these gray areas, but you're flying to improve your flying skills. Drop it there. You're just flying to improve your flying skills. That's recreational. You can absolutely fly recreationally and do that. Vic says, send those media requests to me. I'll tell them they're wrong. Vic had a great experience going on Fox News on Friday, I think, when we were doing the live. That's right. That was on Friday at 4:30. David Bataille says, newbie to drone and taking your Part 107 course. Just received my Mini 4 Pro today. I'm in Glendale, not far from us. Do you know a good place to practice with the drone without worrying about too many regulation? Arizona is pretty good. The valley where you are is also pretty good. We have a wiki page. I think Jason will put a link in the description. We have a wiki page that highlights a couple places in Phoenix where you can fly. So I would do that. My feed is frozen on my iPad, but I think it's just on my iPad. I hope. Sergio de la Garza says, is there a good Japanese drone that can be purchased in the US? The only Japanese drone that I know, well, there's two Japanese drones. I guess Sony is Japanese, right? The Air Peak, which has been discontinued, but you may be able to find a cheap version of it. And then the, oh no, I'm having a brain fart. The what? The Soten. Soten is the other one. I heard the Soten is doing a lot of great improvements to the platform, so I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with. But the, ACLS Soten. ACLS is the company brand and the Soten is the drone itself. Those are the two Japanese drones that I know of. Maybe somebody else has other ones, but roaming the Americas, seeing a lot of people talking about shooting them down, and I'm trying to educate that it's illegal. My question is, law enforcement at any level ever allowed to shoot down a drone? No, not even law enforcement is allowed to do that. So, yes, shooting down anything that's in the sky is the absolute worst piece of information that you can give. And I know that our upcoming president has said that somewhere in the tweet, but please don't shoot at things that you don't know what they are. If it happens to be a manned aircraft that you're shooting at and you kill someone in that airplane, can you imagine what the repercussions are going to be on that? Do not shoot at things at night in the air. That is the absolute worst piece of information that you can get. Please don't do that. you will kill someone. IBX Cold Cat says, I'm taking my Part 107 on Sunday and have studied your course for 6 months. Any advice you have on exam day? Nope. Go in there, relax. You've done the hard work. As long as you've been doing good on your practice exams, you've got it. You've just applied what you've learned. You're doing good. Rick's Eye View says, I recently noticed that I am a few months past the 2 years since I got my 107. Can I still take the recertification test? Yes, that your certificate is valid forever. There's no expiration date on your certificate, only on your currency. So your currency lapses every 2 years, every 24 calendar months. If you don't do the currency renewal, you're just not current, which means that you can't technically fly under Part 107. But you can definitely, you don't have to redo any kind of test other than doing the recurrent training, which is ALC 677 on the FAA Drone Zone, on the FAA safety website. Does PI offer any drone simulators to practice online or anything similar, or simulators to read maps? We don't have a simulator to read maps just yet, but it's funny that you said that. We are actually working on one. Probably will be available early next year. It's still in development right now. But we have plenty of practice in the course to read the charts. As far as the drone simulator, we have a cool article somewhere that I think Jason is going to put a link to that is going to help you with practicing your skills. It depends on what you're trying to practice, if it's FPV or something else, but yeah. Am I missing something? The leak specs for the Mavic 4 Pro show 90-degree down and 80-degree up, but does the camera rotate 90-degree for portrait shot like the Mini 3 or Mini 4? Don't know. Don't know that yet. What they're talking about is, yeah, the up and down of the camera, which is looking straight down and almost looking straight up. But as far as rotation, that depends. They haven't included that functionality in the Air 3S, which is interesting. So, yep. A word from our sponsor. That's Ben. Voting is open for the December photo contest. Wait, I need to do a segue to our sponsor. So voting is open in the community for December. The photo contest, anyone can vote, and it goes through December 24th. So we're going to announce the winner on December 27th, news update, which is that Friday after Christmas. Bill, and then we have a link in the description. Next, Bill says, I had a lapse in my 107 currency and subsequently did the recurrent training. Does this reset the 2-year clock from my latest training? Yes, from the day that you did the training. So if you do the training early, it resets your clock early. If you do it late, it resets it on the day that you reset. Mike says, Pilot Institute Premium Community, is there a calendar for content you're creating and the release date? Yes. I'm a current subscriber, but I just don't know what I can look forward to in the next month. There's a post somewhere. Top of my head, I can't tell you where it is, but Jillian will be able to answer that question in the community if she's still here in the chat. But yes, we do have a page where you can see the upcoming content. We have a ton of content lineup coming out in the community, so look for that. AV1611 says, are there any top companies a new pilot can work for, or is this field mostly freelancing? LinkedIn doesn't show any jobs when I type drone jobs. It's a mix of both, quite frankly. There are large companies that offer jobs for pilots. I'm thinking like telecom companies, for example, or companies that do inspections or whatever it is. So it's a mix of both of them. I would say, as far as finding them on LinkedIn, I doubt that's where you would find them. Yeah, trying to think where you would find these jobs. But yes, it's a bit of both. There's also freelancing available. Jillian says there is a December post in the event calendar with everything happening. January post is being worked on. So, and then you can DM Jillian as well in the community. Retired Fire Chief, what's going on? Says, what kind of handheld radio that's not too expensive to get for listening to air traffic? I think, Retired Fire Chief, you're in the course. When you get to the radio communication section, I have a couple links to a few radios that are available. Actually, I can't put links because I'm not logged in as Pilot Institute. But yeah, there's two types of radios. There's a receiver only, and then a receiver and a transmitter. I would recommend that if you're on the budget side, that you get a receiver only for aviation radio, and make sure that it's for aviation radio. Those frequencies are different than police or anybody else. They're on a very specific spectrum. So, yeah. Vic typed in all caps, so I don't know if it's because his keyboard is stuck. No, just kidding. He says motion to closure passed. That is the NDAA reference. He says Senate will approve closure motion to deny adding any amendment to the 2025 NDAA. No full CCPDA language in the NDAA. Current vote is 84 yeas to 11 nays, and then it is finally passed. So. Cool. Well, thanks for letting us know, Vic. This is live, so you've heard it first. The NDA language that we have been talking about for the last week or so, we talked about it on Friday in news updates, looks like it passed through the Senate as expected without any changes. So that means that whatever language we've been talking about for the last week is still there and is going to remain unchanged, which is good and bad. There is some good, there is some bad to it. But if you want more information, check out news updates and what that means for what's going on forward. But at least we know now that there's nothing else that has been added from that. So next, does anyone have any tips for dealing with people who don't like drones that interrupt your operation? It isn't safe to operate while distracted. Yes, that's difficult. So if you have a visual observer, which I know is not always a possibility, have your visual observer talk to them and said, he'll talk to you when he lands, and until now, you can have a little sign printed that's available on top of your bag. And when people come and talk to you, you can say, hey, I'm in the middle of a flight right now. I'll finish up and I'll be right with you, but feel free to read this little thing right here, and then you can point to it on your flight bag or something, and then have them entertain themselves until then. It is illegal to interrupt a pilot as they fly their drone, including drone pilots. So
Dobo just put out a really good video on it.
On what? On how to deal with people?
Yeah.
Oh. Ethan says our friend Ken Dono at Original Dobo put out a good video. I talked to Ken today, and he said because of this New Jersey thing, he's been getting a lot of encounters with weird folks that don't like drones. And so he said more than ever, he has seen people threatening and approaching him. And so I think that's probably why he put out this video. So check on that. And check on that video. Ken always has really good information. But yeah, as far as dealing with people, other than what Ken is going to say, stay calm. You know, again, tell them I'll be right with you. And then if you have a piece of paper for them to read, on that piece of paper, you should put information about the fact that you're a certificated pilot, and that you're doing this for work or for whatever it is reason, and that interfering with the operation is illegal, so that they don't mess with you. Probably should be the first sentence on there. Doesn't mean that they'll follow it, but at least, you know, gives them some education. Ken is Ken Dono. Original Dobo is his channel. Is Autopilot officially an FAA approved app? Can we rely on the data real time when planning a mission or prior to takeoff? I'm not super familiar with Autopilot. I know they're out there. We use Aloft. We have a great relationship with Aloft that provides great information. So I would recommend Aloft, but not saying that Autopilot is not a good resource as well. Not directly a drone question. What computer do you use to edit 4K video from your drones? We are a Mac-based office. I've been a Mac guy for since before Macs were cool. Let's put it this way. So I've been using Macs most of my adult life, and we use the mini. The Mac Studio, I'm sorry, which is a mini but larger. The Mac Studio, that's what our editing team uses. I use a MacBook Pro, an M1 Max from several years ago, and still performing amazingly. And so yeah, that's what I would recommend. They're just great computers that are designed to do this kind of work. So, but if you're a Windows person, I'm sure there is equivalents out there. I'm just not as fluent on the Windows side of things. First part of my question was missing. I want to take photos of skydeck business on a building where people stepping out on the grass that are visible. Is that illegal? Not control their space. Also have part 1.7. Oh. Stepping on the grass. Stepping out on glass. Oh, skydeck. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to picture what this is. This is a building that probably has some kind of a walkway that's see-through or something. In which case, no. Typically, you need a model release when people are identifiable. But I think in this case with the drone, it wouldn't be. Tyson says, here in Portland, Oregon, they have banned all drone flights from public parts. Any advice on finding a place to fly? That sucks. That's a terrible thing. I'm not super familiar with Portland, but maybe go further up in the mountains or further away from the city. Yeah, that sucks. Go check the wiki page that we linked a little bit earlier. You'll be able to see stuff in there. Recovery Drone says, Ken Dobo and being relaxed is an oxymoron. That's true. Ken is definitely a bit more on the edge, but yeah. Will we see, this is Bob, will we see Pilot Institute at the 2025 Las Vegas UAS Expo again? Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we'll be at Commercial UAV Expo. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, but yes, we will be there. Absolutely. Can I contribute to the PI Drone Wiki and suggest spot to fly in different cities? Yeah, absolutely, Sky Curtains. That's exactly why we designed it the way that we did as a wiki, so that people can continue adding content to the entire thing. Yep. So there is a place in there where you can submit your suggestions for flying in different places, and then someone in our team will review those. If I fly a drone heavier than 249 grams at night with lighting, do I have to have a Part 107 even if I'm flying recreationally? No, Frank, you can legally fly a drone of any weight recreationally at night as long as you have a light, and of course as long as you've done the trust exam and follow all the other stuff. So BEM 1962 says 2 knuckleheads arrested in Boston flying too close to the airport. Yeah. Well, that's also, that's also one of the things that we thought could create issues, is that now people are taking this in their own hands and doing things that are illegal, and that will get you in trouble. So yeah, please don't go fly nearby airports, especially in Boston, which has large airports with large airplanes. Which app do you recommend to see remote ID, iPhone or Android? I would actually recommend having an Android phone if you want to pick up as many remote ID signals or remote ID information as you can. The Apple phones don't have the ability to pick up a Wi-Fi based remote ID. So, yep, that's difficult. Do you hire at Pilot Institute? Not at the moment. We have very specific. Let me put it this way: we are hiring at the moment, but it's not related to drones. So we are looking for someone who has a fly instructor background and writing background. So, but yeah, nothing on the drone side at the moment. I don't foresee anything this year on the drone side. It's really going to depend on what happens with this DJI ban, quite frankly. So I don't want to hire someone and then see a drop in business and then have to let them go. So Richard says national parks should make exemptions for Part 107 operators to fly in national parks. I have a weird approach with national parks. I tend to disagree that drones should be allowed in there. I know people don't agree with that, but that's my personal opinion. I want to keep national parks as natural as possible. If we start opening that to people, there's just going to be constant buzzing all around, and that's the last thing I want to see when I go to a national park. That's just personal. I like nature. I like to enjoy nature. I don't listen to music in nature. I don't. Yep. So I'm not super pro having national parks open to drone flying. Now, with that being said, should it be easier to get exemptions to fly in some parts of the park? Then yes. I would love to be able to fly in some areas as long as it's done correctly. But as far as a wide open removal of restrictions, I'm not super excited about that. Yeah, there are millions of acres of nature. I get that, but that's not where people are going to be flying. People are going to be flying where there are easy access to the roads and to the trails, which means that you end up with congested airspace right where people are, and that's not good. Vic says, I would love to fly in NPS, but on a very restricted basis. Yeah, absolutely. I think there should be a way, there should be a process available to do that. Yes. Oh, let me see. How are we doing on time? 13 minutes to go. When they say you can't fly your drone from a public park, does that mean you can't fly above the park? No, that's a great question. You can fly from a public place, and as long as they don't control that land, the municipalities and cities and everybody else can only control takeoff and landing from the places that they own, that they control. That's it. Eric Rose, so you can still fly, you can still overfly. This was the one thing with universities. When I worked for the university here in town, they wanted to restrict people from flying over campus. And I told them, so you can't do that. You can prevent them from taking off and landing from school property without having a special approval. But if they're across the street and they take off and they go fly over the campus, it's 100% legal. So it took them a while to get up to that idea. Rick Rose says, hi from the Bahamas. Awesome. How would a drone pilot address the possible issues with flying drones like the Spectre Air that have unlocked geofencing? Possible issues. I don't know what issues there are with unlocked geofencing. I don't think I understand the question, Eric. In this case, you just have a DJI that doesn't have geofencing, which I think is, if you're a responsible pilot, that's actually a great thing. The media is telling people how to locate drone operators. Be careful. Yep, that's what we were kind of worried about, is a witch hunt of drone pilots because of this. So be careful if you're in New Jersey flying at night. Just be careful. Old Man Droning says, if I have a video that I took before I was licensed, can I monetize it after I get licensed, or do I need to make a new one? Nope, you're good. You can absolutely do that. Will the current proposed ban only future DJI releases? That is the way that we do interpret the proposed bans. Yes. So current drones would not be touched. Bob says, can you tell us a little bit more about the guy in Philly who got fined by the FAA over $180,000 for nefarious drone activities? Yeah, it's a bit of a long story, but he did what you're not supposed to do with the FAA when they tell you to stop operating in a certain way that they believe is dangerous. So he continued to operate, disregarded what the FAA told him to do, disregarded what disregarded what the authorities were telling him to do, and then ended up with a big fine. And then I'm pretty sure he's not active anymore. I haven't seen his thing anymore, but I think they seized his drones at the very end of it because he just kept on going. So I don't know about the fine. I don't know how that works. If he's, I don't think he had obviously the ability to pay $180,000. I don't know how that works, but yeah. In Hawaii, there is a law stating that you can't fly an aircraft a certain distance from whales, but they further specified that drones can come closer. Just to clarify, aircraft means manned. Yeah, so it depends, but it depends on the state. This is a state law, so it depends on how the state law defines an aircraft, but typically an aircraft, as far as the FAA is concerned, an unmanned aircraft or a manned aircraft is the same thing. So I don't know how or why he does it. I'm surprised that they would have different regulation for drones than they would for aircraft when it comes to getting close to wildlife, but I may be wrong. So take a look. Typically somewhere early on in the regulation, there is a definition section that defines each of the terms. So see how an aircraft is defined. They could define an aircraft as a manned aircraft and then a UAS as an unmanned aircraft, which would make two different categories. But I don't think I've seen that. So, okay, Boomer says, can I take off and land from the hood of my truck, or is that considered an extension of private property? If you are on private property with your truck, it would still be part of it. Just like if you're holding the drone, it's not the fact that you're on the ground, but you are an extension of that. So yes. Whew. Any more questions? Is the Robin radar the solution for the New Jersey drone invasion? I'm not familiar with the Robin radar, but there has been a lot of resources deployed in the area to try to find if there are drones or other things. And yeah. So I don't know what the solution is. What are the laws surrounding flying over dams? Also flying over a train track once the train passes. So let's talk about dams. It depends on how critical infrastructures are defined in your state, and it depends on how your state deals with flying drones over critical infrastructures. So at the moment, it's a bit of a mess because it's at the state level. The FAA was supposed to come up with some regulation a while back from the previous Reauthorization Act. It never happened. And it's regulation that is designed to define what a critical infrastructure is so that each state doesn't come up with their own different regulation, if you want. So it is possible that your state defines a dam, especially if it's a hydroelectric dam or something hydroelectric dam, then it's likely that they would define that as a critical infrastructure, in which case you couldn't fly over it and within a certain distance. So here in Arizona, with the border with Nevada, we have the Hoover Dam, and that is considered a critical infrastructure with its own thing around it. But I can't say that every single dam is the same because it depends on how it's defined. So as far as train tracks, there's not really such a thing. Again, as long as your state doesn't define it, but I don't know that I've seen any states defining it that way. Just be careful with where you take off and land because the train companies own some of the land nearby, and they will prevent you from taking off and landing from there. Be careful with trains. You can film train tracks all day long. You can technically fly over trains as long as there are no people inside of the wagons, the cars, because the FAA says that you cannot fly over people in moving vehicles, not just moving vehicles. So if you have a long freight train, for example, you could fly over the cars. Now, don't fly in between the wheels. Somebody tried that in the past. NERC tried that, got in trouble. But yeah, so. Eric says, I meant questions from authorities about flying in areas that DJI does not allow. I know that when I'm flying in a certain place that there used to be an airport over 30 years ago, I'll get warning. Authorities cannot ask you anything about DJI restrictions because those are not real restrictions from the state or from the federal government. So in this case, DJI restrictions are meaningless in a sense. What really matters is FAA restrictions. So you want to make sure that you follow FAA airspace. If there is no airspace restriction there, nobody else is going to get you in trouble. Yeah, that's my answer. All right, we have 4 minutes to go. Whew. Lots of questions. Lots of questions. A lot of fun. Is it true that the New Jersey drones are flying under some sort of legality? Again, if you go back to listen to what I said earlier, we still don't really know for sure that there are actually drones flying over there. There could be drones that are flying legally in New Jersey at night. Absolutely. It is not illegal to fly at night. I saw, what did we see today? We saw an article. I shared it with Vic. It's the head of Department of Homeland Security, DHS, or some of the head of departments over there, who said that the FAA in 2023 started to allow drones to fly at night, which is not correct. We have been able to fly drones at night for a very long time. As long as there's a light on top of it, it is absolutely legal to fly a drone, and it has been for years and years and years. What he was talking about was the changes that the FAA made for flying at night in the 2023 regulation changes. So, yeah, head of DHS. Head of DHS doesn't even know the drone rules and is out there talking about the drone rules. Please, please educate yourself. Oh my God, it drives me insane. Drives me insane. So, yeah, here we are. 3 minutes to go. But I don't know if you have any more questions. I think we've gone to the bottom of quite a few of them. Sky Curtain says, get my Mini 4 Pro. How can I prevent image quality loss when color grading? Oh, the Mini 4 Pro doesn't have log, does it? I don't think. Color grading typically only applies to the technical term for color grading applies when you record in log. And when you record in log, it only captures data differently on a different spectrum if you want. And then you apply a LUT, a lookup table, in order to make the colors pop out. So that's typically how you do it without losing too much quality. But I'm pretty sure the Mini 4 Pro doesn't have... Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Ethan says it does. Okay. So D-Log M. Okay, that's probably what it is. D-Log M.
LUT's on the DJI website.
Yep. And then so you would download the LUT on the DJI website, and there shouldn't be any loss of data there when you do that. So make sure that you record in the right thing. So yep, D-Log M, and then do all that good stuff. I see getting a phone call here. Yeah.
And workshop in the community coming soon on how to color grade law.
Oh, we'll have, okay. So in the premium community, Ethan tells me we'll have a way to teach you how to do color grading. So that's really cool. Normal 10-bit, yeah, D-Log M is 10-bit 420 H265. So that's great. That's the way you do it. D-Log profile, 10-bit means that you get a lot more data. You're probably doing it right now with 8-bit, which is why you're losing data. So 8-bit means that you have 2 to power 8 number of colors. 2 to power 10 number of colors gives you way more colors in 10-bit. So, yep. All right. Sparky, no, you cannot call me. My friend Coit was calling me, and he's been texting me, so I'm sure he wants to talk about the New Jersey drones. All right, folks. Thank you for watching. It's 5 o'clock here. I'm going to go check actually on the new building, see what's happened today. We're going to be in the new building all day tomorrow, trying to finish up a couple things, and then hopefully, get further forward. Light up a candle somewhere that we get our final approval this week from the city of Prescott, and then that we can move in very soon. So I'm really excited. This is the kind of the final stretch here. We're at mile 23 of the marathon, I would say, out of 26.2 miles. So we're almost there. We only have a 5K left. I'm pretty excited. All right. Thanks for watching. We will see you on Friday morning for news updates. And then we won't have anything on Friday night because we have our Christmas party. But we will be back the following Monday for more questions. So almost the new year. This will be the last one of the year before we move on to 2025. Thanks for watching. See you next time.